So basically, he has like an unfair advantage because he was giving steroids to the kid. This is.
They said transitioning is not a natural thing, and when I'm saying like, well, here's an instance where someone is also, you know, using medicine as an advantage and overcoming, you know, great plight that way. Where's the fucking?
Oh man.
Are we done?
Hey, bro.
Listen, because the thing is this.
Go for it.
I'm waiting for somebody in Hassan's chat to tell him that I talked to Abba, and then his brain is gonna completely shut down, and he's gonna be like, "Oh, I get it. It's a Destiny dick rider. That's what's. It's coming. I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet."
I haven't said.
Yeah, I agree. I know exactly what you're talking about. It feels like you're just smacking your head against the wall.
Straight up.
Yeah.
He was born with a disadvantage. Trans women are born with an advantage. It's a bad take. Oh my god, dude.
Oh my god.
Bro, it doesn't matter. Then trans women are taking fucking literally a blocker that gives them a disadvantage, a significant fucking disadvantage. Whereas Messi took a fucking a steroid that would help him, okay? That gave him an advantage.
Yeah. But for some people, they like a bit of that pain. I think I'm one of those people. Not gonna lie. Like, you don't think I know? I've repeated some lines. Yeah, I'm like, oh, bitch, I said this verbatim last time. Yeah, 100%.
Verbatim.
Even the like,
I think they think you're being ableist with Messi or whatever. Wait, what the fuck?
Some of the audience members are probably like mouthing the words before they even come out of my mouth.
Straight up, they know.
They know.
They know.
We know. Yeah. Yeah. So we know. Technically speaking, there is no such thing as men's sports. There's just sports. And there's female sports.
I love that they just completely overshat. They literally just went. They're saying that you're being bigoted. It's an appeal to an emotion that a person born with a disability is more sympathetic. Wait, what the fuck? Wait. So hormone therapy in certain instances is okay if it's a cis man, but hormone therapy is not okay if it's a trans woman. So you're once again finding yourself otherizing trans women. That's it. Right? That's what's going on. Am I wrong? They didn't even mention it. They didn't even say anything about that. They just laughed
it off. It's just such an unbelievably stupid. I honest to God, I don't even know how I would argue against that. I would have to think for a moment, like, because of how unbelievably fucking stupid this argument is.
Pushed onto their audience about others' actual takes. Doesn't matter that you spent all stream or Adam's video unpacking it, or all this time in this video. It just matters that they can find 30-second clips to fit their narrative.
True.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to do about this other than, you know, I guess
talk it out.
Let you guys know if you are.
It could never actually like bring them on in chat. Like, could never do that. That's unfathomable. Okay.
I mean, they didn't actually make a point. We're just trying to understand what their point is.
Oh yeah, that's all the sound wants to do.
They just laughed.
They're just trying. He's trying to understand, dude. They're just trying to understand.
Why did they just like keep the point in? Why would they even mention that and then go, "Oh fuck, that sucks, man. That's so stupid, actually," and then they ignored it.
Women could compete in the male diamond. They can join. But they can't. And so we segregate them.
Yeah.
It's not because there's no such thing as men's sport. There's no men's tennis. There's tennis, and there's women's tennis. Serena Williams doesn't exist without women's tennis. She's not getting no dubs, no wins. Nobody cares.
That's not our word, by the way.
That's hers.
That's not our words. That's the roll the clip. That's not us.
That's right.
That's her saying that.
That's her.
Actually, it's funny because Andy Murray, he was been joking about myself and him playing a match, and I'm like, Andy, seriously, like, are you kidding me? Because for me, tennis and men's tennis and women's tennis are completely almost two separate sports. So I'm like, if I were to play Andy Murray, I would lose 6-0, 6-0 in 5 to 6 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, because no, it's true. It's true. It's a completely. It's a completely different sport. The men are a lot faster, and they serve harder, they hit harder. It's just a different game, and I love to play women's tennis, and I only want to play girls because I don't want to be embarrassed. I would not do the tour. I wouldn't do Billie Jean any justice. So Andy, stop it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let you kill me.
So whenever.
Okay. The average man is stronger than the average woman. This bears nothing on the conversation about trans women competing with cis women and why that should not be allowed. This is completely irrelevant to the argument, especially considering that I even say personally
J.K. Rowling is banned from Twitch? Oh, what? Is that real?
Just one pure advantage over the next.
What is happening in the world?
This makes no sense. It has no basis in reality either, by the way. Because once again, if that was true, then trans women would be fucking destroyed.
My fellow travelers, you are all about to witness my majestic epicness. Unless I get killed, but probably not.
You're saying average, but athletes are in the top echelon? Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I gotta pee, okay?
Takes are rewarded with a sweet dope.
Get them watching. Burn them up.
Hello.
Hi.
I feel like you always call me, so I wanted to call you for once.
Oh, well, what's up, buddy? Hi, fellow transphobe.
You know what? I need your help. I feel like maybe I got my blinders on. All right. I want to believe that the individual is not.
Oh,
stupid.
you've come to the wrong place, my friend. Okay.
But I'm hoping you could bridge the gap. I want you to be as charitable as possible. And if you were to make that other side of the argument, maybe you can help me explain to me how, because maybe I'm missing. You know what I'm saying? So I always like to hear it from a different perspective.
Oh, okay. This is a charitable interpretation of quote unquote the other side, not Hassan.
Okay.
Hassan is too stupid to understand any of these things. Okay. So do we have that clear? Okay.
Yes. Okay.
So here's the issue. Okay. The issue is that people on the left are traumatized by both explicitly bad faith actors on the right and dog whistly bad faith actors on the right. The thing is that there's like a million different issues that you could talk about, but like if you focus on a few all the time, people start to associate those issues with a particular point of view. So for instance, there's nothing like, let's say that like I want to talk to you about like black stuff.
Right.
And I'm like, I want to talk about how like gang culture, drugs, and how rap music, I think, leads to a lot of black problems. Now, all three of those topics are legitimate discussions, but if I bring this up over and over again, you're probably going to get a certain view of me, right?
Right.
Yeah. And so what happens is when that interaction happens and it's iterated over social media, real life, politicians, over and over and over again, what happens in the future is once we've moved past that, you get a well-meaning guy that comes up and he's like, I really want to talk about, like, I think that a lot of the stuff, sexism, homophobia that gets perpetuated in rap music, I think that actually boils down into bad things with like black youth. As soon as somebody hears that, everybody's like, what the fuck? It's a racist fuck. This guy's a racist motherfucker that he's about to say some crazy shit, race bill, and you automatically, people are putting you in the worst box possible. And I think that that's happened a lot with trans issues, to where for the past like 5 to 10 years, transphobic people will harp on, because you're never really gonna come out and be like, I hate trans people. You're not gonna say that. What you're gonna say is that like, I think that there are a lot of trans people that aren't really trans. They detransition, you know, there's a lot of fake stuff. I think that the kids are being harmed. You've got instances where like LGBT people are grooming kids, right? You're always gonna focus on like these types of issues, which on their own, there might be some merit, but taken collectively and then presented by a person kind of makes your mind do this defensive thing where you instantly start to assume that they are that prior transphobe in this case, or racist or homophobic person or sexist, whatever. You start to group them with the people in the past that would only ever make these arguments because they didn't want to go, you know, like the full 9 yards or whatever. Does that make sense?
No, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
But the issue is that, like, I think this is a trauma response. It really is. And trauma responses are, by definition, irrational. We should eliminate them. If somebody wants to come up and talk to me, and I hear them ask a question, like, if a boomer comes up to me and they're like, don't you think, like, if you play a lot of violent video games, don't you think that could cause, like, some violence? I'm not gonna, like, roll my eyes and assume that, like, oh God, here it's Jack Thompson, like, time for this. I'm gonna be like, okay, yeah, let's talk about this. I'm not gonna be instantaneously PTSD'd every time somebody brings it up. But people act like that. They get, like, super PTSD'd over it. I don't think there's an excuse for, like, non-trans people to get PTSD'd over it, because you're not trans, what the fuck? But I do think that I'll give a lot more leeway to the affected groups, because you can only defend your existence for so long before you're like, Jesus fuck, like, I don't want to be on trial every single day for who I am, you know?
Yeah, yeah, it can be exhausting to have to try to defend that if you feel like a lot of it's bad faith, or if you feel like it's the same negative rhetoric that you hear all the time, and sometimes from people who are bad actors. I can understand that frustration. And to be fair, I feel like on my end, I've definitely felt like this topic has come up a lot over the last few years, but it's also, yeah.
Without wild magic,
Maybe you have this as well. I don't know if it's like this for you, but I feel like for me, I don't take holistic approaches to most issues. Meaning like I don't really cover Asian folks or like issues that happen within the Asian community, for example, right? But let's say some specific negative thing happened, it was in the zeitgeist, I probably would cover it briefly. And I would have a lot of people who might come to me afterwards and be like, you only talk about us when it's negative or some shit like that.
Sure,
I was
because it's like a current
I feel
event.
like most commentaries around negative things or disagreeing opinion, you're rarely going to make a video and be like, well, this is why I agree with trans folks 110%, because nobody's going to watch anything like that, nor is it something you're really going to sit there and think about. Am I crazy to say that? Is that weird?
No, I mean, I agree with what you're saying. We just have to be mindful of what it looks like sometimes, I guess.
Sure.
The biggest concern that I have, the thing that I look for is I'm always trying to be mindful of like what type of audience am I getting. So like when I look at my subreddit, because there are a couple people that hear me and they're like, holy shit, Destiny finally hates trans people. He's base now. There are some people that think that. But when these people show up like in my subreddit and they start making comments, or when they show up like in my Twitter mentions and they start making comments, they get overwhelmingly shit on by community, by my
Right.
community. So I think that's a good thing. If I started to go through my YouTube comments or my subreddit and I started to see like really upvoted comments about like, oh, like this girl's a man or stuff like that, like really like shitty transphobic comments, and they started to get upvotes, well, now I'd be worried that like, okay, well, hold on. I'm giving so much attention to this side. I think that people that watch me think I believe this thing, and they're starting to feel emboldened by the arguments that I'm making. And I don't want that. I'm not interested in that. I'm not here to empower transphobes or to make trans people feel shitty or to give ammunition to that side of the argument, if that makes sense.
Right. So do you think as a result you avoid certain topics as to not fuel that, even though you know what's being said is like probably incorrect or just...
I try not to avoid. I know I'll never avoid something, but I'll try to caveat a lot depending on what we're talking about. Because we talk
What
about
do you
a
mean
lot.
by caveat?
So like I've said this a million times. I hope it helps. I guess. I mean, like my audience isn't super transphobic, so I guess maybe. But like I'm gonna die again because I'm a fucking moron. Like something I'll say like a million times is like these are like online trans activists. These are not the normal trans person. These are terminally online crazy trans. It's not the average trans person. Like the average trans person is super chill. Like there are a lot of trans people in my community that are super chill. There are trans people online that are chill, but the online activist community is great. So like I'll try to like clarify that a million times because I don't want people to get the impression that like the lunatics I'm arguing with are somehow representative for like the average trans person.
Yeah, I think I definitely see that in my audience, or at least a certain segment of it. You know, I see people get mad if I use a preferred pronouns of an individual wants. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, use whatever pronouns you want, you know. But I see some folks who get upset. I just don't know if I make nearly the concerted effort you do. But I think I understand what you're trying to mitigate.
Yeah, I don't want anybody ever watching my stuff and feeling like they're being like empowered or uplifted by me because I'm also a transphobe. I don't want that feeling. I don't want to contribute that to the world.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. To your previous point, which is like a certain repetition of something, and then the association with folks who are bad actors or who just want to say negative things about that. Yeah, I think that probably is fueling some of that response. Then, I just struggle. Maybe this issue for me is like such a strange one because I think it's like maybe one of the strongest examples. Because like sometimes folks say like, why don't you talk about like right-wing related issues or things like that? But I don't know. I've told you this to you. It's like the people around me aren't politically leaning that way. The folks who I see on a regular basis, their ideology doesn't lean that way. I deal mostly with liberal people, so most of the stuff that's affected me personally has been from people that lean that way. So I think is why I'm like personally annoyed by a lot of it. I feel much more. I don't deal with like the right-wing super racist types. Like that's not something I see.
Yeah.
So
and culturally, they're so much weaker, right? There's not a lot of culture looking at like, like I'm never gonna see like a TV series where there's like the lead villain is like a transgender gay person, right? Like, and I'm gonna be like, oh well, is this kind of weird how they deal with this? That's never gonna happen. But I am gonna see a million new series where like it's like the Disney Channel cast of like the bad guy's always white. There's always gonna be at least like one brown, one woman, one whatever. Like all the quotas are hit or whatever, and it feels a little bit weird sometimes. Yeah. So like of course the commentary is gonna be a little bit more attuned to that.
for me, it's even worse because I've done dance for a long time, and then after that, stand up. Like exclusively, the only people you hear from politically are folks who lean left. That's it. There really is zero representation, which I'm not mad at. There's probably a reason why there's an overrepresentation of liberal people. It's probably how it in the arts. It probably leans towards like their political leanings. That they're much more encouraged to do arts, but that's all I hear about. So when I get concerned or start thinking about topics, it's always from that lens. It's more so about the people I deal with. I'm sure if I lived in an environment where racism was much more prevalent and I was dealing with all the time, maybe that would become a thing. But to get back to the original point, I feel like the trans sports issue and like some of the nonsense I hear around it is kind of like a representative, if you will, for a lot of the nonsensical takes that I feel like the left takes. It's just it's pure nonsense. Most people can see that it's nonsense, and yet they'll still try to die on this hill, and it makes me cringe unbelievably that they're saying things that are just so devoid of any reality, and it's frustrating to some degree. And so I find myself keep coming back to it because I'm like, this is the one. Like this embodies what I think a lot of this nonsense. Is that you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree. It's like, and it sucks because it sucks to make trans people who already have to deal with so much crazy shit in life. Like, by the way, your identity is going to be the battlefield that we're all staking our positions on. And most trans are like, bro, I just want to fucking be like a normal person and live. I don't want my whole identity to be like the centerfold fucking battlefield for conservative and liberal ideology. But yeah, unfortunately, that does seem to be the case, that like this is the most wedge issue. And it is where people like stake the most unbelievable and untenable positions. So yeah.
I mean, so one of the positions I heard today was like, I know they're just saying they know they're advantaged. Okay, they know we know
it's moved more extreme. We know advantage, but we don't care.
We don't care. Why? Because people had advantages in different ways.
Yeah,
and my reply to that is like, okay, well then let's just get rid of the female category altogether.
But no, you can't. Oh, you're not. Yeah, you're not caught up on the conversation. There are a lot of people that will just say that. Like at that point, like yeah, I've had multiple conversations now where people will just say like, yeah, fuck it, like let's just get rid of gendered categories. But then at that point, it's like, okay, well now all the turfy arguments about like invading and destroying women's spaces, you understand that you're kind of empowering that sect of people because now it sounds like that was a true thing, right?
That's also part of it. But then it's like, let's just get rid of weight classes in boxing, you know? Like Floyd Mayweather should be boxing Mike Tyson. Let's get rid of everything because who cares if you're smaller or you weigh 60 pounds less in fighting sports? It doesn't really matter because you were born to rich parents.
Sure, yeah.
Or you're black and black people have better muscle twitch fibers. So like, you know, I'm hearing some of this stuff. I'm like, you motherfuckers hear yourself? Like how crazy you sound right now. But you're boasting about this. Like even the one with like the dwarfism. I was like, how am I supposed to reply to that? I really sat back and heard that shit and I was like, am I the retarded one for thinking this is one of the dumbest replies?
I always have to like, and I'll do this in conversation. I've even done this today in conversation. I'll be like, okay, hold on. Let's get out of the debate mode and let's back up and let's like think like, what the fuck are we actually talking about right now? Because I think I just had a conversation with somebody who was like, fuck, what was Dario saying? Fuck, I don't remember what he was saying specifically, but it was like, let's back up and let's think for a moment. Like, what are you actually advocating for right now? Because whatever you're talking about, we're like society. Oh. It was, I think I asked a question where he said something like, well, let's say like trans women weren't even that competitive in sports, would it be okay then? I was like, well, no, like what if there were certain weak men that could compete with women? And I think his response was like, well, I don't think that would be the worst thing. Like I wouldn't care if like weak men would compete with women. It's like, okay, well, let's take a step back and like think like, okay, what do we say right now? Because we're way outside of the cultural norm. We're really far away from like what any normal like person in society would be okay with. Like, are these really the arguments we need to be having right now? Yeah.
Bro, why don't we just let adults compete with kids if they're not that talented?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I said that same thing earlier. Like this is right. Like if you could find me some really weak high schoolers that were competitive with like people in middle school, that doesn't mean that they should be competing together. Like no, that's not how that works, right? Yeah.
And then if they win, you know, how are we gonna take that shit seriously? We're seeing a grown ass man with his grown body competing with a 10-year-old. Like, well, normally he's not that competitive.
We finally have Cat Williams, basketball star, taking revenge on the fucking middle schooler that fucking beat his ass. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And I sit back sometimes and I think, am I crazy? Like maybe I'm missing it. Maybe I'm missing it, or maybe there's a context I don't know because I don't like inundate myself with this stuff. So maybe they just know things I don't. One of the things that was said also, like I was trying to explain this to you, but I I was making the point that sports isn't a matter of gender expression. So the fact that trans women are women is really relevant to the discussion, because when they separated the sports in men's sports and women's sports, they weren't thinking like gender expression. They were basically just talking about their biology, right? It's really female and male sports.
Yeah.
Is that crazy to say?
No, it's true, but there is a oh man, I don't know if somebody has a link to this. I don't want to over exaggerate, but I want to say there was a Twitter thread with, I want to say it had over 10,000 likes. I could be wrong though, so somebody can be wrong. But basically, the argument was by some, I think it was a woman professor, who was saying that women's sports were only created because women were starting to beat men and men wanted to protect themselves, so they made women's sports. And it was getting like, I don't know if anybody has a link to that thread, but I want to say that was getting like some unbelievable engagement to me. And I was like, no shot that this is actually true. Or that people actually believe it, yeah.
I think it's people who don't actually do sports who say stuff like that. But like anybody who's done sports knows better. So that's why I don't know. I feel like with Reddit, I just judge a lot of the people who go on there and say some stuff.
Fuck.
There's no way you've ever done sports.
True. People in my chat are saying that it had like 60,000 likes. I hope that's not the case. But
if you guys can send it to me, please. I feel like it's going to be another money video.
Oh boy, that's a wild thread. But that is something that I notice as well. Is a lot of people I think are just like really clueless about sports.
Right.
Like I just had an argument with another guy today that was calling me evil and blah 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 on Twitter, and then I brought him on and tried to have a short conversation, and he was telling me that like he thought that women would probably be competitive with men, but they're just not because of social reasons. But like if a woman trained like from birth as much as like a man trained, they'd probably be like pretty similar athletically. And I was like, bro, you just have like it's like, and dude, being calm in those kinds of conversations is so hard, because like not only does he not know like in an athletic sense, it's pretty clear he just doesn't know any women, which is mean to say, but like you're clueless, you're utterly clueless. And yeah, I run into those types of arguments a lot. People are like, well, maybe it's a socialization thing that's pushing women away from men's sports.
Oh my days. I can't with that. Yeah, so oh man. So what I was saying is essentially that's how they segregate sports, right? It wasn't a matter of gender expression, it's about biology. What really matters is really that. And I was basically making the analogy that even when you go to the doctor's office, yes, you're a trans woman, but when it comes to certain diseases and risk factors, they're going to acknowledge your biological sex, and it's going to factor in because of the fact that, well, listen, males are more at risk for certain things. Cool?
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
And that turned out to be like the most transphobic point I could have made, apparently. I was so confused when I heard that. Apparently saying that is transphobic.
Yeah, it's it's this weird game that we had to play, and it's happened with every word, right? To where like people, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm pretty sure even I've said it in this, like trans women are women. It's like, yeah, sure, like trans women are women. I can get behind that statement. But like when we're saying that, we're talking about like ontologically, we're talking about the social category of what a woman is. Right? We're not like actually saying descriptively that like a cis woman and a trans woman are the same. This would be dumb for so many different reasons. Not the least of all in that like, well now, like why the fuck does a trans woman need access to special drugs or whatever? If you're a woman, like you shouldn't need HRT, you're fine, right? Like it doesn't make sense to do this. And it's happened with other words too, right? Where it's like, like this is rape. It's like, oh yeah, sure, that's rape. Okay, sure, that's rape. And then pretty soon we're in a world where like, well, hold on, wait, well, what the fuck is rape? Like this guy, tried to fuck his girlfriend when she was sleeping. He woke up, she woke up, she said she didn't like it, he stopped, he's a rapist. It's like, okay, wait, well, hold on. Like, all forms of rape are rape. It's like, okay, yeah, but, well, like, maybe we need to be, like, a little bit more careful about how we talk about these things. Because, like, every word is just, like, crazy now. Yeah. I linked you that thread, by the way. It had 40,000 likes. You can peruse that in your own time. That's a wild read.
That's another YouTube video. I'm about to make a couple G's.
Oh, my God, dude. Unreal. Just unreal.
I'm kind of grateful for these crazy takes because it's good content and it's money, but at the same time, you just hear some of this stuff. You're like, how are these real people and how do they navigate the world like thinking some of this shit? Like, they really don't acknowledge it. Even the dude who said, like, well, men, if they weren't socialized the same as women, they'd be just as competitive. It's like, then why do you think women are terrified of men when it comes to any kind of physical alteration?
Yeah, fuck you. Yeah, this is my take exactly. I've used it for conversations. I think with Alabrow, and I think with another person where I talked about like it was trans sports like 2 years ago, and they were like, well, on average, like there are a lot of women that can compete with men like physically, and I'm like, bro, okay, well then can we stop crying about fucking rape culture or whatever? Like if the average woman is about as strong as the average man, they should be able to fight them off. Who the fuck cares, right? But like, now all of a sudden you've hurt your other social arguments because you're being so stubborn and stupid about like one particular issue that you're like obsessed with,
So going forward, with this particular topic, 'cause I feel like it's such a, I don't know. I've just heard the most ridiculous things this entire time since it's begun. How do you think you even handle this conversation? Is it something you keep hashing out, or do you just feel like the people who are trying to be brain dead on this?
I have a lot of mixed feelings, but a lot of it is very personal, so not necessarily like to the public discourse. I'm working on a huge manifesto about my band and Vosh and some other things related to this argument, and then once I do that, I really hope to move on from it, because I think it's really shitty. I don't like this. I don't like having this argument a lot for two reasons. One is because like it constantly feels like I'm shitting on women to constantly say over and over again, like, women are weak, they can't compete with them, blah, blah, blah. Like, I hate just saying that over and over again. It feels like really chauvinistic. It really does. It really feels like really shit. Like, oh, we're so much better than so I don't like doing that over and over again. It feels shitty, number one. And then number two, like, I feel really bad that trans people have so many issues with society, and we have to drag these fucking issues out. And when you're trans, you have like a target on your back by in allies or like other cis people or whatever. And it's like part of the biggest part of the trans experience is like trying to blend in and be a part of society. And like when everybody is fucking talking about your shit constantly and everybody wants to, it's like, it just feels like you're being brought forward to like what's your opinion on these issues? Like, how do you feel about it? And it just feels like so stupid that like, I really like the fact that I have a big trans community, and I don't want to like make like their existence a center point to like my debate content for the next like fucking 3 months. And it's already been a really long time on it. So yeah.
Yeah, I concur with that 100%. I do feel sad that, because I'm pretty confident that I feel like most trans folks hear this stuff and they're like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And yet they're being just dragged into it by people who aren't trans at all, and are making these absurd claims on their behalf. And it's like, I don't even think they asked for this. And so then I think one thing you said in the debate that I saw, the one that I covered, was like this fosters a lot of the pro-turf arguments in regards to like the negative stuff. So I feel for the community in that regards, because like the people making these arguments aren't from that community and are just saying the nonsensical stuff that affects people but not them, or the people that look like them in any type of way. So I think that's the most sad part about the whole thing. I think that's probably why I'll just cover it one last time to kind of share those thoughts and then leave it alone after that, because it just feels unfortunate. And I feel like, it really is. I feel like this issue specifically, more than the bathrooms, more than anything, has probably been the most divisive one in regards to fostering an anti-trans sentiment.
Yeah, for sure. Because I feel like the bathrooms one was like, I think legitimately like in favor of the trans people. Like I think that like conservatives that argued about trans, like, do you know who Blair White is?
Yes.
Like, does a conservative want Blair White going into a bathroom with their son? No, they don't. You're fucking stupid. If you're a conservative, if there's a passing trans person, you don't want them going into the bathroom with it. You're a fucking moron, right? You, like, they talk about you know who like Buck Angel is?
No.
He's a very passing trans male. You don't. As soon as a conservative sees somebody like Buck going into the bathroom with their daughter, their tune on the trans bathroom shit will change immediately. They'll be like, okay, wait, hold on. Trans people need to go to their own bathrooms. This is fucking right. So that was an issue that I felt good fighting for. But the trans athlete one is just like really stupid and really rough, and I just feel bad.
It's all over the news now, and the takes are getting crazier and crazier.
They are, yeah.
And then you got folks saying like. I remember, like, I think it's Piers Morgan. He was talking to somebody. And if you make Piers Morgan sound smart, you know you're fucking stupid.
Super fucked up, yeah.
But he's just like, do you think it would be fine for Floyd Mayweather to just transition after a year, start fighting women? And the woman who sat across him was like, well, I mean, if he did the HRT, then yeah, he should be able to box whoever. But just the optics of that, of one of the greatest boxer in the world, after 1 year, start boxing with, like, it sounded insane. And she said it with such a straight face. And I know everybody who's like not familiar with anything trans related or anything hears this, and this is probably like their only interaction with trans in any type of way. And like, oh, these people are crazy.
Yeah.
That's what they think, right? Because that's their only interaction with it. Because unfortunately, unlike black folks or other minority groups, your only interaction with a group, for some folks, like when it comes to trans community, is just through media. That's the only way. Like, if you don't go to certain events, or if you don't work in certain type of places or live in cities where it's very common to see them, you'll never interact with them. So if your only interaction with media and you say this crazy shit, you can't help but have a negative impression. You're like, well, these people are insane.
Yeah, which, and it's really shitty. There were arguments like that being made on some of those Twitter threads by Mindwaves and by MX Vivian, two people that I've kind of debated in the past over this, where they went even further. And they were saying, like, as long as somebody identifies as a gender, they should be able to compete with whatever they want, even without HRT. So, yeah, it's like, Okay.
It's okay.
Wait, they said this to you?
Staying alive.
Where did they say this to you?
It was on. These are Twitter convos. I think
That's
Mindwaves tweeted
unfortunate.
like
You wanna send me a video of
if LeBron James wanted to be wanted to compete with women and he identified as women, he should be able to immediately. And then Vivian said, "Does anybody have?" Okay, sure. Give me Mindwaves tweets and Vivian's tweet. I know you guys have it. I might have it on my manifesto, but
Send that to me. Send that to me. Your manifesto is coming against Twitch, I guess.
no, actually, right now it's mainly focused on. It's just about my ban, and a lot of it is about Quash. I need to do. I need to set the record straight on that shit.
You aren't a little frightened.
Yeah. Oh, bro. This has been a very interesting 24 hours. It's been fascinating to have it unfold. And yeah, I don't know. I feel tired of hearing myself on this topic, but it feels like the rhetoric on the other side is so crazy. I'm like, I can't walk away from this.
Yeah.
This is insane.
I also do legitimately worry sometimes that like I am actually just booming now. Because like when I think about growing up, like all the crazy shit that the people before me thought, like you don't think gay people should be able to get married? Like come on, really? And then I think of like how unbelievably wrong, but how unimaginably dug in those people were. I kind of wonder sometimes, like fuck, like am I just old? Like am I as progressive as I ever can be, and now I can't go any further?
Yeah.
Like I worry about that sometimes. Yeah.
I worry about that too, but I think what I help catch myself is that I am able to change a lot of my opinions on certain topics over time. That if I'm, confronted with enough information, and I'll change my mind. I'm not so hard in my stances that I need to die on these hills. I've never been that dude, and it's the same thing been true for our channel. Like what we did in terms of content 4 or 5 years ago has strongly shifted over the last 2-3 years, and I think that's partly due to learning more, to reading up more. Certain things that I always believed were true about like relationship dynamics or men and women in general, like that's completely shifted for me. And so I think what gives me solace in this regard is when it comes to the whole booming thing is I don't feel like I'm rigid, and I'm open to a lot of what people say. But I haven't been confronted with anything, especially with this topic, where I'm like, oh, I might be booming, because they're denying things that have been true forever. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Can somebody give me the Vivian tweet? There's like that little mind waves. I don't know if anybody's got the Vivian tweet on it.
Yeah. So I
know what you mean. Like there are some
women's issues specifically, right? For example, even the whole topics of like sexual assault and understanding like gender pronouns and even gender being different from. I've been embracing a lot of this new stuff. Something I would have never done 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I've been shown information. And on the trend stuff, like, if you'd asked me 15 years, I'm like, this is stupid. I'm not doing this. But I was like, who cares? It's gender pronouns. Like, you use whatever he should. But some people will die on that hill. They say, I never did that. I'm never going to. I was like, who cares? If that's what they want to use that, right? Or women's issues. I just didn't even know. Like, birth control, learning about that was a big eye-opener for me. I didn't realize just how negatively it impacts women. I didn't realize in regards to, like, women's safety and how bad it have it in regards to certain communities. I didn't know about a lot of this stuff. I was kind of tone-deaf and didn't want to hear about it, but with enough information, I've kind of softened those positions and learned to embrace what I believe now is to be the correct position. So I just don't believe I'm booming only because I've been willing to change in certain regards. But yeah, you were going to say?
Yeah, I agree with you. I understand what you're saying. Fuck, I don't remember what I was gonna say, but it was along the same stuff. Like there is some stuff where I've changed my mind because I didn't think I would what I did. And even today, there's some stuff that I think my mind can probably be changed on. But yeah, it feels like for some of this stuff, it's like just so crazy, it's hard to even imagine.
Right. Even gender norms. That's one thing that I've like been softening because as society has like kind of progressed forward. We're seeing that a lot of times in terms of like the traditional gender roles that we've always had in regards to like breadwinners or relationship dynamics have really shifted due to the fact that like the financial climate has shifted. Women make more than before, and so relationships look different than they used to. And so the roles of everybody, those things used to be into my head. This is what men do, this is what women do. But I've had to soften that because I'm like, that's not the world that we live in. So I don't know. I think I'd like to believe, but maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm not nearly as open-minded as I'd like to be. But I know on this issue specifically, I feel like the folks arguing the other side of it. I don't know. I don't feel like it's booming in this regards, but maybe you feel like you might be booming on this topic.
I mean, it's just something I always get worried about, right? I don't ever get stuck in like some crazy circle jerk where I'm like not even realizing how dumb I am or something. But yeah.
Yeah, I also don't have the same interaction level that you have with your audience as like a lot of people have. So I feel like with Twitch folks specifically, but maybe it's true for YouTube communities and Discord stuff. You sometimes have so much interaction with people who agree with you 150% of the time that it can sometimes foster a little bit more of that circular thinking. Would you
like if you have too much interaction with the community, it can foster circular thinking?
Yes, because they admire you. They look up to you in a certain type of way.
It could be, but I think I've done a pretty good job at fostering a community that like pushes back when they need to. Like I've had like there have been some pretty big traumas even recently where like my community pushes back pretty hard against me. So I feel like pretty comfortable with where we're at right now, I guess.
Right. If you encourage and embrace dissenting opinions, and that's great. I know for a lot of the communities that's definitely not the case, and I also know what it's like when folks look up to you because there's a certain level of likability and proximity that they have to you that makes it hard for them to look at what you're saying critically in a lot of cases, right?
Yeah, of course.
It's kind of yeah. So I think when it comes to the whole booming topic, I think I don't have to worry about it too much in that regards. I keep my fans away as much as possible. I deleted the Discord a long time ago. I try not to be into the comments and shit like that. So that gives me a bit of distance. But just to finish this, I've never really dealt with a song like that. I've only like seen him. I used to see him on Facebook actually. I used to see him on Facebook when he first started. I used to hate his face at the time, so I didn't even realize it was the same person until much later. Watching the stream for a little bit and then watching it unfold, it was interesting for me because I was surprised of how sure he was.
Yeah. Something that
when he was saying things that like seemed so evidently crazy. Yeah, like that when I made the whole doctors comment, how like doctors will take into consideration, and he's like, "You're a transphobe," and the whole like chat room was like, "Yeah, fuck yeah, transphobe," and then they're all like, "You my DMs now." I'm sitting back watching, this like, did you really think that was that strong of a point? And so I don't know if it's always like that or if that's just a function of having that kind of following.
It's always like that. That's a big part of what I'm looking at right now is like, how do people like arrive at positions that they think are true? And there's like a formula that like Vosh does this a lot too, where what you do is you kind of like, you state either you state a really uncharitable interpretation of what the other person said, you get your whole community to agree that it's bad, then you kind of like recharacterize that position, and then eventually in the future, whenever that position is referenced, it has no bearing to what was originally said. So like, and Hassan even started to do this towards the last part of the conversations. Your original take is never actually referenced, but instead it's just like, oh yeah, like they're transphobes. They repeat like turfy talking points. Like they're kind of like, they're transphobic. Like they're pushing a transphobic agenda. That's the only thing that's ever mentioned from that point forward. And then when people think about you, either from his community or when he brings you up, it's always gonna be like, oh, I remember I'm on Preacher, the guys that like have like the kind of like the weird like transphobic agenda, and they say like transphobic stuff. That's it. But if you ever ask one of these people ever, like, what have they ever said that's transphobic? They won't be able to tell you. They might, if they were listening carefully, be able to give you Hassan's interpretation of something you said, but they'll never know what you originally said. They'll have no idea. Vosh
the progression was hilarious.
Yeah.
First, it started off like, I don't think these guys are transphobe. I think they're making transphobic comments. But they're saying transphobic things. And then by the end of the stream, it's like, oh yeah, these guys are just full-blown transphobes.
Yeah.
And then it's like, whoa. But that's actually, yeah, so you feel like they straw man you first, and then, or they give you an uncharitable position, and then from there, try to label you to their audience?
Yeah, that's what happens. Yeah. Fuck. Fuck. I feel like it's popping up so much. Or it's probably, I'm just a dumb fuck because I've heard of it once and I'm trying to make it fit everything. There's this concept called simulacrum, and it fucking fits this so fucking perfectly. But it's essentially this idea that like you take a thing, you create a copy of that thing, and then you make a copy of the copy that's like a little bit different, and then you make like a copy of a copy that's like lacking the essence of the original thing, and then eventually you've got like this copy of the thing that is kind of supposed to be of the original thing, but there's like no relationship to that original thing anymore. And that's like how all of these political positions end up getting being understood, basically. And I've watched this happen to me so many times, to where when I hear people referencing things I've said, it's resembling like a caricature of me that doesn't exist. So here's an example. Somebody will say like,
oh yeah, your community's toxic.
No. That is one thing, but not that. It'll be like, I remember when Destiny was laughing and saying that women deserve to get raped. That's like something that a lot of people say about me, right? But like how they got to that was like, I tweeted out something about how like, if you see somebody that's stealthing you and you can't say something about that, then you probably shouldn't be having casual sex. Then people said, well, Destiny doesn't think women should have casual sex. Destiny thinks it's a woman's job to prevent herself from getting raped. Destiny thinks if a woman gets raped, it's her fault. Destiny was laughing at some of the arguments being made. Destiny's laughing at women getting raped. Destiny thinks that women rape is funny. That's like the line that it goes to. And then in the future, anytime you bring me up and I say anything else, it's very easy for you to create these bad impressions of me or mischaracterize things I'm saying, because people already have this idea in mind of like, oh yeah, Destiny, he's like the guy that laughs at women getting raped and he hates trans people, right? That's like that's how it goes. So in the future, if you guys ever say anything, Hassan will reference back to this point in time in the mind of his viewers, and all he has to say is like, oh yeah, like this is Advent Preach. These are the like really transphobic guys with the transphobic agenda. So if you say anything even remotely resembling something any other transphobe would say, whether it's true or false, people can automatically like draw back to that idea that Hassan's already put in their head, basically.
Right. Do you think the stealthing one specifically is one that really popped off?
It did a little bit, but like every single comment I've made gets like horrendously mischaracterized. It just that's what people do. It's a big part of like my manifesto. One of the ways that it happens, Vosh is like probably the #1 offender of this. Hassan does it a bit too, but Vosh for sure. The way that it happens is the most important thing is to never, ever, ever watch the original take on stream. You just give your characterization of it, and then you always work on that, and you pretend that that's like the original event. So, yeah.
Well, I think when it comes to biases, and then also the audience is already biased against you, and everything they're watching is through that lens. I think I'm probably guilty of that to some degree. And it's hard to catch yourself too, because if you're already going in with a certain dislike of somebody, you're just waiting for them to say something you can pop off on.
Sure.
Or something that, it might not even mean what the person said, but because you already have that dislike, that's the way your brain interprets it. So I don't even think sometimes it's a conscious effort. Would you agree with that or disagree?
I think that for normal people, it's not a conscious effort. I think for some content creators, I think I've gotten a little bit more understanding of it. I think it is a conscious effort. Like I think Vosh makes a conscious effort to like misinterpret what people say to build these characters. I think maybe I underestimated some of these people. I think that their understanding of how their audience works is a little bit more sophisticated than I thought, and I think they do go out of their way to build these uncharitable caricatures and then build upon them. Yeah. Because it's done so deliberately and so repeatedly, I have a hard time imagining it's like an accident happening over and over again.
So for some of them, I probably would agree with you. I think just the way that you specifically engage with topics, and it's such a like, sometimes it can be very visceral and like no sugarcoating whatsoever. It's very easy for people to engage with things that you say that are on the edge, or in the way, like optically. Okay, when you say things like, on the scale of sexual assaults, what's worse to bad, and you say stealthing is at the bottom. Okay, I can agree with you and understanding the principle, but optically it sounds terrible. You agree with that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so if I'm somebody who dislikes you, okay, and I'm listening to that, that's a video I'm gonna cover, and I could easily find ways to make my audience hate you more, and I can do so myself without even having to be conscious. It's just because of the fact that
when you open your eyes,
because I'm seeing you through a lens, I hear this comment, it's very easy for me to pounce on that and to go from there and to like kind of piece off little pieces to go at you with my audience.
Yeah, of course.
And I don't even think that portion can, like you said, you might see it as being conscious, but what I'm trying to say is, for the person watching, they're so charged every time they come at you that it automatically defaults to something negative, even though if they were to really just sit down with it and hear it from anybody else, they might not do that immediately. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree, but I mean, you should be able to do better. I think I do better. Like, that's another thing that I've got like so many examples. Like, I hate Vosh. I legitimately like fucking hate him. But like, when I'm engaging with his content, if he makes a point that I agree with, I'll give him credit for like, oh yeah, he did a good job here. Like, yeah, I agree with this point. Like, and I do this over and over and over and over again. And even when my audience interprets him uncharitably, I'll be like, oh, like somebody like in chat was like, I think Vosh is. I'm like, no, I don't think he meant this. Like, he probably meant this. Like, I try to do a good job of like building arguments up and shit, but yeah, that charitability never gets extended to me from other people.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, we've already talked about this. You're a little bit autistic in the so I think you're a bit unique in that regards in this field, for one. And two, on the topic of biases and how they happen subconsciously. I need to go back.
I was mentioning how people aren't charitable. Vosh doesn't watch the original clips of me.
Oh, yes. Okay. People choose their battlefields. Meaning, if you make a video that's A1, okay, when they watch it, they'll give you the least amount of credit possible, or they're going to avoid it altogether.
Yeah.
Because it would be to your benefit.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah. Selectively watching your content, looking for the worst.
I might do that myself as well, right? Like, let's say Fresh It Fit came out with something that's fucking fantastic. It's a 10 out of 10 video. I might see it and be like, I ain't covering that shit. Fuck these niggas. Even though it's probably like a really good thing that probably should be said. My own biases. But let these motherfuckers mess up one time and watch how many videos I'm coming out with, right? And so I'm probably guilty of myself in just in terms of like how I engage with stuff or what I choose to engage with. There's a certain level of like, I don't even think about it consciously. I'm just like, I would never go out of my way to say they did positive things or to highlight it.
I can't wait.
And so that's part of the uncharitability that exists. I think we all engage in. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I mean, I try not to, but I understand what you're saying.
So Vosh does something amazing. Like he puts out a documentary that's like 10 out of 10. You watching that shit with your audience and be like, yeah, fuck.
Yeah, I do. I have. I feel like a fucking loser, but yeah, I have done. I've watched like long form content. I've taken his side on really contentious topics before, like where the whole internet was shitting on him. I was like, I don't think he did that bad here. Or like, I think people are being harsher. Like I did. I'm a fucking loser. I'm a fucking moron. I shouldn't have.
Yeah. Yeah, I try to.
I won't do that shit anymore though. Fuck no. Fuck these losers.
Welcome to the dark side.
Yeah.
I feel like for you, you've probably reached your limit in that regards, right? It's just kind of.
Yeah, I'm a little bit like empty now on like charitability. I've like given and bled so much for these fucking losers for no reason. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I don't know if this is accurate. I'm from the outside looking in, but for you, I feel like conflict with other creators is pretty common. Not disagreements, but conflict specifically.
Yeah, for sure. Of course.
Is that fair?
Yeah, of course.
Without wild magic, we have no children.
Yeah. Well, when you have conflict with so many people and they're just trying to win, then charitability is going to be a very sparse thing. I've realized not to expect too much in terms of character from people, much less content creators. And so when I see them acting funny or acting crazy, I'm just never surprised.
Yeah, same.
That's why I keep my distance from most content creators for that reason.
Yeah, exactly. My expectations are very low, so I'm never surprised. I just assume.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, except the people who I have in my personal life or the people I choose to work with or
Why
associate
is
with in
it
terms of
taking
like
so long to
friendships.
get back to the action?
I think very highly of them. And if I saw the behavior that some of the people you're having conflict with, if they engage in that, I would never want to be anywhere around them. So I think maintaining relationships with people online that are like, lacking in character in a lot of ways, I don't think is to your benefit or any good.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think I probably agree.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much. I'm gonna probably sit on the whole Hassan stuff and see how I feel about it after a bit. Is there anything you think I missed on that?
No, not that I can think of.
Okay. Listen, brother, I always appreciate you chatting with me. I'll take a look at some of the stuff that you sent me. If you have any other good stuff like this, where. Oh my God.
What? Are you okay? Oh, you're looking at the tweet?
Bro, I don't have Twitter, so
It's pretty wild, stupid tweet, yeah.
I don't have Twitter, so I'm seeing some of the shit that you sent me. Read this shit. Yes, and I didn't see you sucking Lauren Souther's dick the other day, you goddamn quisling.
Oh, yeah.
Get the fuck out of here, you Nazi coddling dweeb.
Just, yeah, that's why. It's a wild world out there, you know? What, you know, Nazi's gonna Nazi. I can't help myself. What am I gonna do, man?
Oh my God. Who talks like this? Oh my God. Hey man, what the fuck did you send me? What is this?
Some wild opinions, man.
If LeBron transitioned and competed in the WNBA, that wouldn't give him any hormonal or genetic advantage in any meaningful.
They said as long as he was on HRT for 1 year. That was the Twitter thread I came from, man.
Who is this guy? Who's mind with?
He used to host like lefty kind of podcast things or panels on Twitch.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
All right, I gotta do a couple things, and then I've gotta do a moderating, like a debate between two people. So.
Hey man, no worries, bro. I appreciate you, man. Peace.
I love you. Be careful. No, fuck it.
I am super happy to.
Crap. I totally forgot why I'm here.
To make my own audience extremely uncomfortable. So whatever you want to say, there's no point where I'm going to say like, oh, this is too much. Whatever you believe or have found in your research or you want to share with us, we're ready to ride the roller coaster. Okay, so how do I pronounce your last name?
Cantor.
Cantor. Okay, like the deli.
Oh, wow. You've been?
I've been, yeah.
Guess it, exactly. Same, we're not related in any way that we know, but same rough area of Europe that many generations ago.
Okay. Okay. So, one other note about Thought Crime and about you. I read. So you were on the board, or were you the head of the SSSS?
Oh, no. I was just a regular member, just like anybody else.
Oh, okay. You were just a regular member, but you had to resign from...
No. I didn't have to resign. I did resign.
You did resign.
Yeah. This was on trans issues. I present the science of trans issues the same way that I present the science of any issues.
Right.
But as many other people who don't actually know the science of it, got involved with much more personal, much more emotional reasons about it, just did not want to hear anything that was not flattering. How good the research methods were was irrelevant. How flattering the results were all that mattered. Somebody said something on their listserv. I said that's not right, and whatever the evidence was. And then I got an email from the board of directors that I was getting kicked off the listserv for saying something offensive to that person.
Yeah, so I read this whole thread.
Our kind will see the truth.
Oh, yep. Right, yep. And then I pointed out that the board of directors has no such power. To which they shut down the entire listserv.
Just for you.
Just to hide from the lawyers that they were afraid, Right. They knew they screwed up, and rather than leave any evidence for it, we just decided, so there's nothing to sue them over.
Okay, so
and then, of course, when it was clear this group is not interested in the truth.
Right, so you presented your case basically saying, we, in talking about trans people and especially children transitioning, we haven't really defined what being trans is. So is it a declaration that you're trans, or is it actually going through the surgery, or is it something in between? And most people seem to believe it's somewhere in between. I guess the most progressive stance is that if you say you're trans, then you are.
No, I think you're granting much more thought than is going on. What I actually think is going on is people will adopt whatever definition suits their purpose of the moment, and will adopt another definition.
That's true.
That one does.
That's fair. Most people don't have a definition of what being trans is. That's true. And then you were talking about when is it appropriate to begin transitioning. So you have at birth, and then you have after the age of 30 or whatever. You had a range there, and you said I think 12. You said should be the floor, because you said most people who are having gender dysphoria before 12 resolve those feelings in puberty, and then most people who have dysphoria in puberty do not resolve those feelings after puberty.
Yeah, that's what it looked like 10 years ago. By 5 years ago, the story started changing.
Okay.
The first studies on this came out in the early 2010s. Those were the early Dutch studies. DeVries was the author. DeVries et al. 2011, then there was DeVries et al. 2014. And what they showed in both of those studies, and this is, a well-known clinic that has participated in, high-end science, so as I said, I was convinced by the early evidence. They had samples of kids who were clearly feeling dysphoria from the get-go. in that clinic for long periods of time, you know, and then maintained. And these were the kids then who did not desist, continued past that age, and now these were the first follow-up studies of them. Great, and they seem to have improved it after transition. Okay, so what the Dutch model was doing, which was puberty blockers at 14, and then cross-sex hormones at 16. So they were pulling that back from 18. That's what that research was. That's what the experiment was. Can we bring this back a little bit? Does that help?
I'm here.
And these data suggested yes. But then what started to appear in other studies now the few years after that, where the Dutch results weren't getting replicated, that's when people started contrasting, well, what's happening differently between these two clinics that's giving a different result? What that has worked out to be is that in the Dutch clinic, they weren't only getting medical transition, they were also getting psychotherapy at the same time. Not this other clinic. The setup in the other clinic had psychotherapy, psychotherapy only, and psychotherapy plus medical intervention. They both improved the same amount. The medical interventions didn't add. Voila! So now it looks like it was the psychotherapy that was producing the improvement. So right, so that's when all of a sudden, hang on here. So yeah, back to the story. Yeah, so those earlier age, that looks like 12 to 15 studies ago. We now have a much more consistent story. If there's psychotherapy in the mix, they improve. If there's no psychotherapy in the mix, they get worse. So yeah, no, what I tell people now, right, is the
go to therapy.
Stage of the research.
Is go to therapy.
Essentially, but I don't want to say that 100% either. There is room, and some of these kids can do fine. So at least therapy and a legitimate go at therapy should at very least be the treatment of resort. Exhaust that before we start, doing really dramatic things.
Yeah, so you know how we always say conversion therapy doesn't work for gender or sexual orientation or sexual proclivities or anything. I've heard it said too. But I think that usually, in most cases of conversion therapy, the therapist hates you or something. If you're going to therapy to be straight, the therapist already thinks it's not good. It's bad to be gay. They're probably not a very good therapist. They're probably not going to be able to connect with you very well anyway. So I feel like
I hesitate to go that far. I think a lot of people are projecting a lot of things onto a lot of different people, and they're all just really applying stereotypes.
Okay.
First, conversion therapy, when we're actually talking what was attempted in laboratory studies and measured before and after and led us to show this actually isn't making a difference. That was about sexual orientation.
Yes.
Full stop. Not about gender. Not about the other.
Yeah. I'm not trying to say that's generalizable to gender. I'm saying that.
No. But that's the part where people are saying.
Yeah. That's yes. And I agree. I agree. They're completely different things, and that it's a conflation because we say LGBT as though they're all the same thing. But I also just want to say, when you said a genuine go at therapy, that if your therapist is trying to help you accept your body at birth because they're a conservative or because they don't like trans people, I don't feel like that is a genuine go. That's what I'm trying to say. Is that the politics have okay.
Usually it's the client looking for a therapist in whatever mindset they're in.
Okay.
It rarely comes in, I kind of have these feelings and I don't know what to do about them. They come in and I need your signature in order to get my surgery, what do I do? Or I picked you out of the Christian counseling list because that is what they do.
Okay, I think I'm not talking about so much how it actually happens versus the public's view of conversion therapy as a hateful practice of people being brainwashed to suppress themselves somehow.
Never seen moves like mine.
Yeah, I think that's generally the vision that most people have. It's not particularly accurate.
Yeah, but so when you say a genuine go at therapy, that's obviously not what you're talking about.
Oh, no. I need figuring out what actually is the issue with this person that's making them think that life would be better as the other sex.
Right, and that is the part that's seen as transphobic, where you're saying that you're not letting the person define what their issue is.
Gotta get myself hyped. Okay.
I can't think of very many situations in psychotherapy where the patient does come in and tell the therapist what's wrong.
There aren't any. I think it's just this one.
So as I said,
yeah, I'm not saying I don't.
Expecting being support. Well, that's not how therapy. That's not how therapy works. Two, the issue is not, let's help you feel comfortable in your new sex. That already assumes that we know what the source of this discomfort is, and that it's their sex. There's no evidence for that. There's no evidence for, I should say, this enormous demographic that has just kind of emerged on gender issues since the invention of social media, but was entirely unknown to sex research and gender studies, as I say, until social media. Mm-hmm. It is clear, from the demographics, the epidemiology, pick any way of looking, this is a new group unrelated to everything we've known about transsexuality before. Mm-hmm. What this group has in common is where the other groups were majority male and either prepubescent or middle-aged. These are adolescent females. Mm-hmm. The primary issue that these people present with, but are using now different language to describe, is not, I feel like a boy. It's, I don't feel like a girl. They hate their bodies in a way that, cutters, borderline personality disorders. This is the very common, I should say, or common I can say, adolescent female self-esteem issues. I feel ugly. I can't compare to these idealized extreme versions of femininity now circulating on social media. So by claiming, not I'm a boy, but I'm non-binary, I'm fluid.
I got freedom.
I'm not a girl.
Those are all just, don't compare me with girl, I'm this other thing. Not the same as I'm a boy. It's a way to escape the pressure of adolescent. So it's not psychotherapy. So it's not, the conversion therapy that, let's convince you that you're not trans, you really belong in the usual. It's, let's get you comfortable with your body in the same way that we would get any adolescent female who's insecure about her body to be comfortable with her body. And then let's see if you still do it. That's not conversion. That's not immediately complete of this brand new thing, which, again, epidemiologically, biologically, matches these other, kinds of disorders that, fit that demographic and that we have a huge amount of history solving. We've seen this before in mental health with the repressed memory syndrome. Right, recalled, memories of abuse. They were in genuine distress and needed genuine therapy. But it wasn't about the issue they were saying it was. What they were saying was a way to, kind of get people around them to treat them in another way. But
yeah, I made a pretty lengthy video essay about this, and my kind of thesis was that we are throwing trans people under the bus by allowing them to transition so quickly and easily, and assuming that they get to decide that their body is the problem, when I think it's how we treat kids and how we treat basically taking our societal problems with gender and allowing these people to go under the knife as supposedly the solution, which I don't think it is.
I think actually a lot of different things are going on at the same time. A large chunk of this feels like attention seekers enabling attention seekers.
That's fair.
And so a lot of the care providers are, look what a wonderful, open-minded, rainbow-oriented care provider I am. Aren't I fabulous? It's like some of these people are trying to make up for what they did wrong during the AIDS era. It's
that's interesting.
Despite everybody being able to recite the words that gender identity is different from sexual orientation, everybody's behavior is really just draw an analogy. What would we have done with the gays? Well, this is just the modern version of it, so let's do the same.
Right, but it's not the same thing.
The gays never existed, so the genders aren't going to exist.
Again, gay people were not asking you to, cut their genitals off.
Mostly just to get out of our way.
Yeah. I also made the argument that I think progressives are not good at setting boundaries with minority groups.
On this because it is so social media related. So it's the 98% are just sitting aghast watching 2% of the people who produce half the tweets. Is that... I mean, so people aren't really talking to each other. It's just, as I say, who says the most extreme things?
This has not been my experience.
It's the people with the tweet to follower ratio of one extreme versus the people with tweet to follower ratio of the other extreme.
I get what you're saying, but this has look at your listserv conversation. This has permeated my personal life in every area.
Conversation involved 5 people out of a membership of 1,000. It is exactly like that situation.
That's fair. I had a friend of mine hang up on me the other day because I said I didn't think the "Don't Say Gay" bill was an atrocity.
They will remember my name.
Oh.
So maybe we just come from different social circles, but in my social life, this Twitter shit is like real. Like that people really are as not as radicalized as like the far most Twitter accounts, but like they're pretty polarized.
I do agree very much that we have phenomenal polarization.
Yeah.
But to me, these are the two pieces of the same feedback. With so many moderates and even-handed just not wanting to get in the middle of it. All we hear is from one extreme, one set of extremists, which just trigger the other set of extremists, which make the moderates want to get even further out, and it just... So it is making people more... It is facilitating the polarization because so many people are exposed primarily now to the most extreme opinions. So it pushes people further and further out and gets the moderates quieter and quieter. So as I say, I think these are feeding each other. I have no opinion about which started, if yin started yang, but
you